I hope you have your ponchos ready for this episode because this one may contain more Arteta tears than raindrops at the Brazil Grand Prix this weekend. Hello, everyone, and welcome out to the Newcastle United Digest. My name is Adam Snyder, and if this is your first time out checking out the channel, welcome. This is a channel that will be delivering Newcastle United content in bite-sized chunks. This episode will be all about Newcastle's 1-0 upset of Arsenal on Saturday. It was a hard-earned win, and it was one that was really not all that surprising to me. And if you look on the screen, those are my keys to beating Arsenal that I talked about on Friday. So we'll just talk about how those came to fruition, and I'll give everybody a rating by position. So let's dive right into it. In Friday's press conference, Eddie Howe hinted at some changes that would be coming for Saturday's game. Because of the workload of having a Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday game, 3 games in 7 days' time, he was not expecting anyone to start every game in that short of a window. Howe mentioned that he would allow players to start 2 of those 3 games, but not all 3. Eddie lived up to those 3 words, and the gaffer made 3 changes to the side that beat Chelsea's B team midweek. The first one was Tino Livramento coming back into the side to replace Emil Kraft at right back. Big Dan Burn came back into the starting 11 and allowed Lloyd Kelly to get a rest at center back. And Bruno Guimaraes replaced Sandro Tonali in midfield. And on Friday's episode, my first key to beating Arsenal was to contain Bukayo Saka. The England international is a serious threat down Arsenal's right flank, and he is a major challenge to defend. He is very pacey, he's got a great bag of tricks, and he loves to use them. He also has no qualms crossing the ball or taking a shot. To him, a goal or an assist make absolutely no difference. And fortunately, we had Lewis Hall on the left side, and he was up to the task and shoved Saka in his back pocket. Saka had 2 shot attempts all game, and he was rarely a threat in the Arsenal attack. His most dangerous attempt came early in the first half, where he rifled a shot into the side netting on Nick Pope's short side. Unlike last week, Pope had it covered. Bukayo Saka is not Arsenal's only offensive threat, and that's where defensive discipline comes into play. Despite holding possession for 2/3 of the game, Arsenal could not do a very good job of breaking down Newcastle's defense. The areas I was most worried about are wings, and, well, sheer ball watching did not happen very much this game. One of the craziest stats that I saw involved both Tino Livramento and Lewis Hall. They made 7 successful tackles against Arsenal. Neither one of them were dribbled past at all this game, and between the 2 of them, they committed 1 foul. If that is not the definition of disciplined defense, I don't know what is, except for the rest of the team. They did a great job of keeping their shape, getting into passing lanes, and slowing down Arsenal whenever they tried to use their pace to their advantage. Simply put, Newcastle did a fantastic job from keeping the Gunners from gunning, sending them back to London with 0 goals and 0 points added to their season tally. On the other side of the field, I wanted to see Newcastle apply some pressure. This was a key that did not occur as much as I anticipated, but it worked well enough once, and that one time was all Newcastle needed. One thing I mentioned on Friday that Arsenal had as a weakness was building up using the wings. They had tendencies to get sloppy and could be easily dispossessed if you're looking for it. Fortunately, Sean Longstaff and Anthony Gordon identified a prime opportunity, and they capitalized on it. After an attack fizzled out near the top of Arsenal's penalty area, Arsenal tried building out of the back and marched forward. Kai Havertz was the one who received the ball and was slow to turn upfield, and that's when Longstaff and Gordon pounced. Gordon got the ball back to Shearer to reset the attack. He knocked the ball around with Bernard Hall before pinging it past to Willock. It was a great pass, but it didn't quite make it to Willock. He loses the aerial duel, and that second ball found awaiting Isak. Isak found Longstaff in support, and he was able to quickly get the ball outside to Gordon. Isak made a run into the penalty area. Gordon provided an inch-perfect service for him to do his best Alan Shearer impersonation, which is blast the header into the net in front of the Gallowgate end. Like I said, it only needed to be effective once, but when the time came, Newcastle took full advantage of it and capitalized on it. The next key was having no fear. One of the things I wanted to see Newcastle do is do the same thing that they did earlier this year against Man City, did last year in the Champions League, and against other big teams last year as well. And that's have no fear. Don't be intimidated by the bigger opponent. Just play your game, slow them down, and do whatever you can to take 3 points away from them. I was hoping for a point in this game, and I'm over the moon that they took 3 points instead. Two of the biggest area were the wings. Martinelli, Saka, Havertz, and Trossard are all very skilled players who have no issue dissecting defenses. And I really was worried how Hall and Livramento were able to contain their abilities. Like I mentioned in the first key about stopping Saka, Lewis Hall and Livramento played a crucial role in shutting down Arsenal's attack. Hall also had a goal-saving shot block on a corner scuffle that saw Nick Pope pushed out of his goal. The other worry this season has been Newcastle's midfield. It's been an ongoing struggle to see Eddie Howe try to figure out the best combination of personnel and finding the right balance in midfield, and I think he's finally figured it out. For those who love to see Sandro Tonali play, it was a little puzzling to see him omitted from the starting 11, but when you listen to Howe's words in the press conference, it made a lot of sense, especially when he talked about squad rotation. On the defensive side of the ball, Sean Longstaff proved just how important he is to this starting 11. He built upon his stellar performance on Wednesday, providing an immense work rate the entire game. His contribution to the tackle that led to Newcastle's goal was one of many instances where he was not afraid to step up and make a tackle when needed. He also positively contributed on the offensive side of the ball as he made one of the passes in the goal build. And now let's move on to ratings by position. This is going to be a pretty straightforward ratings for this match, and I think a lot of you are going to agree with me here. Let's start with goalkeeping. Nick Pope didn't have a whole lot to do, but when he was counted upon, he was there. I'm going to give him a 10 out of 10. Arsenal only had a single shot on target all game. Pope did a really good job of commanding his penalty area, coming off his line when needed, and he stayed home when it was necessary. There was only one really frightening situation when it came to goalkeeping, and it was on a corner kick where Pope was knocked out of position. Lewis Hall had to block a point-blank opportunity, and had that ball gone in, I believe that VAR would have intervened and it would have been disallowed because of a push on Nick Pope. I mentioned this in keys number 1 and number 4. Defense was immense this game. They get a 10 out of 10. Newcastle kept the third-place Gunners to a single shot on goal over 90 minutes. The wingbacks did not allow a single dribble past them, committed one foul between the two of them. The defensive effort was immense, and it was spearheaded by this back four, and is probably the best I've seen this unit play together all season long. I mentioned the black and white brick wall an episode or two ago, and this was a rebuilding of that wall, and it was so refreshing. Midfield is going to get another 10 out of 10. This midfield trio of Joe Linton, Bruno, and Longstaff clicked wonderfully today. The balance to this setup is returned when Longstaff was brought into the side, and it seems like the local lad is making up for lost time in that starting 11. Sean Longstaff provided key tackles and contributed to the build-up and goal, and it showed that he was playing to prove the point yet again. The forwards, I'm going to give a 9 out of 10. The press was effective this game, and they were equally massive on the defensive side of the ball for most of the game. Even when Arsenal tried to tighten the screws on us, the counterattacks provided welcome relief for the defensive shape. I even thought Isak improved on the defensive side of the ball and his hold-up play, especially when you compare it to Chelsea at midweek. He put a lot more effort into getting in the passing lanes, sticking a leg out, and also his hold-up play was a little bit better as well. Set pieces, I'm going to give them an 8 out of 10. I can't give them any higher than this because they didn't score off a set piece, especially not scoring or even creating any decent chances off of a corner kick. But the reason this is so high is because of the defensive side of the ball. Arsenal are a tough team to defend set pieces from. They handle it wonderfully. Arsenal employ a set piece specialist, and they could not devise a scheme to beat Newcastle on any corner or free kick. Anytime an Arsenal free kick or corner kick went wrong, John Champion made the note of their set piece specialist slinking his way back to the bench. It was glorious to hear and hilarious every time it happened. That brings the overall score for this game a 9.4 out of 10. In my opinion, I think this was Newcastle's best overall performance of the season. This is a game that we can really use to develop confidence going into a tougher set of games in the next few weeks. Hopefully, the next international break doesn't destroy the confidence and momentum that we've started to build after these 2 wins in a row. And that will do it for this episode of the Newcastle United Digest. If you've made it this far, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more bite-sized Toon content. And if you have any comments about this video, or if you have any insight that you want to provide, be sure to leave it in the comments below, and I'll be sure to respond myself at any point that I see. Initially, I was going to record a video about a news story that came out a couple of weeks ago about Newcastle, but I think I'm going to save it for the international break. I was initially going to record this on Sunday night, release on Monday, but when you have a young one that is teething and you have daylight savings time, it's a recipe for disaster. So I'm going to go ahead and save that for the international break. And later on this week, I will be coming back with another episode where I will preview the Nottingham Forest game away on Sunday. So until then, hoy the lads. I'll see you next time on the Newcastle United Digest.